Hello, mamas out there. So basically wanted to start doing videos based on just mom life in general, because I'm a first-time mom. I'm new to all of this. My son's a month old. I'm obviously no expert, but I thought it would just be good to connect with other moms who may be going through the same stuff and just kind of go through tips that I've learned along the way, and also just learning from others is always a good thing as well. And some fun videos too, because why not? So, nursing. We'll start there because that is a load of fun. For those of you who do nurse, know that, of course. But in reality, it's not. It's hard, and it was a really rough month for us getting to where we are now. We're not even where I necessarily want to be, but we're getting there, which is what I need to keep focusing on and remembering that, we're better than what we were in the beginning. So let's start, I guess, our story for nursing. He was freshly out, and we first couple days were good in the sense that he, would latch and was getting the colostrum and eventually the milk, but it hurt, and they say that it's not supposed to hurt. It'll be uncomfortable for sure, because your body's not used to that. It's never done something like that before, but it should never hurt, and it was hurting. So I was convinced that we did not have a good latch, and so that was making me nervous because I was like, well, it hurts, and I don't think we have a good latch. I don't know. I watched so many videos, and let me tell you, it's a lot. Watching videos can help, and some people, I'm sure it does help, but for me, it was not teaching me physically. I could see and understand how to get a good latch, but I couldn't do it. It wasn't working. Even watching 50 videos on YouTube didn't do the trick. So we decided to see a lactation consultant because I wanted to make sure we had a good latch. So we went and saw one and went there, and at that point in time, he, I think, had a couple of bottles, and so this was before we saw her, but he had a couple bottles and he wasn't latching again. So I was super concerned, and I saw that, if you use a nipple shield, it's supposed to help them go back. So I was like, okay. So my sister gave me one, so I started using that, and he went right back on. So I was like, oh yay, but then he was attached to the nipple shield. I was like, no. So then we went and saw the lactation consultant, Carol. She's amazing. I loved her. So good, so helpful. So anyway, so we saw her the first time, and we tried without the nipple shield right away. He latched. It was a good latch. It didn't hurt. He got 44 milliliters, which is, about what he was supposed to get at the time. And I was like, cool, awesome. So we left there. I thought I'd go home. I could easily do the latch again. Without the nipple shield, everything would be fine. Boy, was I wrong. So we got home, and he did not latch good again, and he was pushing off again, not wanting it. So then I put the nipple shield back on, and then he took to it, and I was like, oh, dang it. So he was back on the nipple shield, and still not having a good latch. So it was like that for the rest of that day. Well, next day, stuff happened to me, and my milk supply went down significantly, a ton. It was back to what it was the first or second day after he was born. So it was super low. He was not getting enough. Thankfully, I had been pumping, so I had milk stored up that he could have with bottles. So I texted Carol and was like, help. So we went and saw her as soon as she was available to see. So it was I think the weekend, and then we saw her that Monday. So we figured out how much he was getting. He was not getting enough, so she was like, okay, you need to do breastfeeding, pumping, and bottle feed him. And it was so much work emotionally on me. It was so hard because I felt like I had failed because he wasn't getting enough, and he needed, you know, a substitution of just being bottle fed, and I knew that it was going to be super hard to get him back on the breast after that. And so it was super hard for me after that appointment. But then I realized, you know, as long as he's getting what he needs, that's what's really important. So we were doing that for a couple of days, and then actually it was probably about a week, and then my milk supply started going back up. So we went back, saw Carol, and we like tested again to see how much milk he got. He still wasn't getting enough again, but this time she was like, we know it's not your milk supply. It must be like something with him. So he had gotten lazy, and just he wasn't sucking enough or long enough. So she was like, we need to, you know, get those muscles built up. So what we ended up using, which I had never seen or heard of before, but it worked really well for him, and it's called finger feeding. So basically she gave us this tube, and you fill it with milk, and then there's this like long thin tube, and you attach that to your finger, and you put your finger into his mouth, and he gets milk that way. And it helps him to have like good lips, puckered lips, and then also just it helps his jaw to move, and you can get it to move easier on your finger. So we were doing that, and we did that for a couple of days, and then we went back and saw her and put him back on, and after 40 minutes of him eating, we ended up finding out he had gotten enough at that point. So that's where we're at right now. We are still using the nipple shield, which, you know, I'm trying to slowly wean him off of that, but it's hard. And then also we are feeding for about 40 to 30 minutes, which is a long time, but if that's the time he needs, the time he needs. But it was also super reassuring because the last time we saw Carol, it was Friday, and he weighed 6 pounds, 15 ounces. And then by the time we went to the pediatrician on Tuesday, he was 7 pounds, 7 ounces. So he'd gained enough weight, and I was like, oh, yay. So hopefully now he'll just be gaining weight consistently because he's feeding better. We have a better latch. So now we're just working on getting him off the nipple shield, and I've, you know, seen videos on like what to do and how to do that. So basically, you know, you either start with the nipple shield or you don't start with the nipple shield, and then you go to it or go off of it or whatever. So we're trying that, and sometimes he'll latch with it, sometimes he won't without it. Sorry, sometimes he'll latch without it, sometimes he won't. So we're just slowly trying. But I know in the beginning I was so like just like distraught that I had to use this nipple shield, and I hated it. But now at this point, after this long journey we had, and the scare that I had of just not being able to breastfeed him, and now I'm able to nurse him, and I don't care if I have to use a nipple shield still, because he's back on and we're nursing and we're doing good. So it's definitely progress. And so any mamas out there who may be struggling through something similar, or who really want to nurse but are having a really hard time, just stick with it. It's worth it. You know, if you end up having to go a different route, then go the different route. Just do what's best for your baby and for you, because mentally it's hard to nurse, especially when, you know, you are their sole reliance of food, and you're just tired and exhausted and you are in pain. But you just make sure you give yourself a break too if you need it, and just keep on trying, because they're worth it, little ones. But yeah, so that's about it for our nursing journey so far. Again, he's a month old, so we haven't gotten, you know, too far into this whole mom and son thing and nursing and everything, but we're getting there, and we're gonna keep on progressing and keep on making videos to just relate to other moms out there. So thanks for watching.